Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Point, Counterpoint, with Hype, with Charlie and Pastor Gary. This episode is going to be Solar Credit Lie. The Solar Credit Lie. We're going to talk about solar credits. We're going to talk about Al Gore and John Kerry. Pastor Gary, how are you today? Pastor Gary was working with the microphone and
the camera. We do it all here, don't we, Charlie?
We do it all. We do everything.
Doing great.
All right. Let's start this out by telling you this. I have solar at my house. I have enough solar that it cuts my electric bill in half.
Well, that's a good thing.
Yes, and people talk about...
So is it literally cutting in half, or you get some sort of credit?
Well, now, see, you asked a very intelligent question. Of course, then you are an intelligent guy. So here's how it works.
So you really don't get the cash in your pocket?
Yes, you do, or no, you don't. Yes, you do, but in a different way, which will segue into John Kerry and Al Gore.
All right, that's fine.
Okay, because it's a scam.
Okay.
All right. Now, I've had solar for over 10 years.
Oh, wow.
I originally investigated it and decided I wanted to put up wind power. I wanted to put up a windmill. Mm-hmm. Now, we're also going to do a segment coming up about the Upper Mount Bethel Township supervisors and the ridiculous decisions they have historically made.
And still making.
Okay. It's a different crew of bumbling fools.
All right.
Okay? So we're going to start out here with solar credits. It's a lie, and it incorporates some information about where I live in Upper Mount Bethel and how they operate. I investigated wind power. I live on a ridge, on a road that the wind never stops. I have trees that grow on a 45-degree angle. Mm-hmm. When I first moved in, it blew a couple of shingles off my roof.
Oh, wow.
The wind blows. So the first assumption I made, which was erroneous, of course, because assumptions usually are, mm-hmm. was that, gee whiz, golly gee, the wind is blowing all the time. I'm going to be making tons of electricity with a windmill. That's not true. When the wind reaches a certain velocity, the windmill, if it was still working and generating electricity, would overheat and burn up. So there's a type of a centrifugal clutch in the windmill mechanism that withdraws the gears that make the electricity, and the windmill just spins. Mm-hmm. And you could imagine why that would have to happen. I mean, you got force, whatever, wind's blowing there, the windmill's spinning.
So you're thinking the faster it goes, the more electricity you're making.
And that's not true. At a certain point, it's spinning fast, but it's spinning too fast to make electricity without heating up. So it now freewheels. So you're not making electricity if the wind is blowing too hard.
So you can't get excited when you look out the backyard and say, oh, wow, honey, we're making lots of electricity.
No, because if it was spinning that fast, there would be sparks coming out. and that would not be a good thing. And these great big windmills that you see, these wind farms, quite often you wonder, you see them, and they're not spinning. And there's a lot of reasons why they're not spinning. One, of course, maybe maintenance, and two, is there no wind, and three is maybe there's too much wind, and the computers that run these things turn the blades so that they don't catch the wind and stop them from spinning, because, and this is a supposition on my part, mm-hmm. that if my windmill at my house would burn up because of high wind, probably the big ones would too.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
If you do, so the same thing. They're not making electricity all the time. But the concept is to be able to make enough electricity to mitigate or to reduce your reliance on generated power provided to you from the electric company. Okay. So first I tried to put up the windmill. It goes on a pole. It's called a monopole. A pole, like a toothpick, folks. Just like a toothpick. Well, I had a problem with that. Upper Mount Bethel Township said that's a structure. I said, no, it's not. It's a pole.
Yeah.
It's a pole with a window on it. No, we think it's a structure. Okay, I still want to put it up. I have enough. I have 2.5 acres. I'm going to put it in the middle of the yard. It's got to be 60 feet high because it's got to go over the top of the house. And the house is 30 feet high, so it's got to be over the top, and it's going to be back where the ground goes down, so it's got to get up there. Oh, no, it can't be more than 30 feet. Why can't it be more than 30 feet? Well, it's a structure, and no structures in your zoning area can be more than 30 feet. I said, there's a farm across the street. They've got a silo that's 60, 70, 80 feet tall. Oh, that's agricultural. I said, it's across the street. Oh, no, you can't do that. We're denying your permit for the...
So in other words, if you put an antenna on your roof, 10 or 15 feet high...
Well, they say it's a structure, even though it's a pole. All right? So they wouldn't give me a permit. So I then started to do solar. And I did solar on a couple of my roofs, and it's enough to give me, to reduce my electric bill by half. Now, here's how that works.
Cash in the pocket.
No. Not from that, no.
Well, you have to pay for the system, correct?
Yes, I had to pay for the system. It cost me $25,000, for the system. So you have to say, well, at what point in this negotiation, what point in this installation are you going to get your money back or break even? You're trying to not necessarily get off the grid, but reduce your reliance upon the grid, reduce your everyday expense. At what point do you get your money back? Well, that's a little bit more complicated procedure. See, there's more to it than that. Now, there's two ways to do this. One is the way I did it. Well, let me do the other way first. The other way is to put up the solar and then have a building or a room filled with batteries.
Those batteries are expensive, right?
There you go. It would have cost me probably twice as much to put...
So $50,000, so $25,000 for the panel.
Plus, I have to have a storage room. So I have to buy a shed, big shed, put all these shelves in it, put all these batteries in it, have them all hooked up to the solar panels, so that the solar panels make DC current, and then there's a thing that changes it over to AC current and puts it into my panel, my electric panel in my house. So if I had batteries, it would charge the batteries. Now, would it charge the batteries and allow me to use it at the same time? I'm not sure. But how far can you push the electricity? I don't think that you can make solar electricity, run your washer, dryer, and air conditioner, and charge your battery with the same molecules of juice. Right. So at some point in time, you're going to have to be making electricity to charge your batteries, or making electricity to run your house, or making electricity to put it back into the grid. It's like a yin and a yang. In best case scenario, the electricity I would be making, let's say it's early in the morning, the sun comes up. And by the way, folks, when you're making electricity, it's not from heat. It's from light. Right? So you say, well, gee, you make more electricity in the summertime. Yeah, you do, only because the sun is brighter and is out there longer than in the wintertime, but it's light that makes the electricity.
So basically a solar panel would not be, for people that have winter, 6-7 months out of the year, it wouldn't be worth it.
Well, if you put snow on the solar panel, then the solar panel doesn't get any light. Now, one of the things you don't want to do is take some implement like a broom and be banging at your solar panels to try to get the snow off, because you would break one.
Yeah.
Right. I did that once with the windshield of my car. I broke it. Yeah. I can show you the scar on my thumb from cutting myself. Yeah, I did that. Yeah. If there's anything dumb and stupid, I've probably done it in my life. So let's take the ideal situation. You're making electricity, and you don't need it. It's early in the morning. Your air conditioner's not on. There aren't any lights on in the house. Your wife isn't running the washer and dryer. The dishwasher isn't working. You're not watching television. You just got up. It's 7, 8, 9 o'clock in the morning. The sun's beating down, making electricity, and the electricity is going through your meter back into the grid. You're giving the electric company electricity. Well, you look at your meter and you'll see I have a special meter. My meter, I have arrows, and they're going towards the electric company.
Oh, okay.
And they're going, at this point, pretty fast. Boom, 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 boom. Oh, yeah, I'm giving them electricity. Okay. Now, if I'm giving them electricity, my total usage for the month is this, and as I'm giving them electricity, it's going my total usage of their electricity and what it's going to cost me is going down. Mm-hmm. Then I start using electricity during the day. The arrows going towards them slow down, and then the arrows towards them stop, and then the arrows toward me start. So I'm making electricity, my bill is decreasing. I'm using electricity, it's staying the same. I'm using more electricity, the bill is going back up. In my case, this would be the total bill. I have half of that on my roof, so my bill's always here.
Okay.
Okay. So the other thing is...
So you get the same credit as what you have to pay per kilowatt hour?
Well, I have to pay this for the use of electricity the same as you do if you don't have solar or wind.
But are they paying you?
No. They don't. They could. If I was making enough electricity to be selling it to them, yes, they would be able. They would send me a check.
Okay.
But I would have had to double the amount of electricity I'm making just to make my bill from the electric company zero.
Oh, okay, gotcha.
So the $25,000 that I spent for half would have to have been $50,000, and then I'm making enough electricity. Now still, I'm making enough electricity that my bill is zero, but I'm using their electricity when the sun don't shine. Mm-hmm. All night long, snowy days, cloudy days, I'm using their electricity.
Rainy days.
Well, no, as long as there's light.
Oh, okay.
See, it's not heat. It's light. I'm making electricity, but when I'm not making electricity, I need either the electric company's power or battery power, battery backup. And battery backup is very expensive, and batteries go bad. There's a constant investment. To stay off the grid with battery power would cost you a fortune. It is absolutely, positively not economically worth it. Now, the yin and the yang going on here with the electric company. If I had enough electricity for them to be paying me, that would mean I would have to make enough electricity during the day to handle all of my needs during the day and at night. See, so I stop making electricity, they provide me with electricity at night, and then the sun comes up and I'm making so much electricity, it negates the amount they gave me overnight. Mm-hmm. Hopefully that's the case. Not only that, but then I'm making so much more that I'm getting a credit with them. And I would have to be making so much more if they're going to start to pay me. Mm-hmm. So not only would I have to double the amount of electricity I have now, I would have to double that.
So just add more solar panels.
Well, now we're up to $75,000.
Oh, okay.
To get, I have a half of a bill now. To get no bill, I would have had to spend, instead of $25,000, $50,000. to be getting them to be sending me a check, I'd need to have more. So if I did another half, that would be $75,000. So I'd have to have $75,000 invested for them to be sending me a check. Well, the check would actually have been for half of my electric bill. Let's say the electric bill would be $400 a month. Well, then let's say $600 a month. Well, they would be sending me $300 a month. $300 a month times 12 months, right? $3,600. Mm-hmm. How long would it take me getting $3,600 a month from the electric company to make up for the $75,000?
I don't think you'd be here.
Well, at my age, you're right. Now, there's also another thing going on, and it's a scam. It's a scam.
It's all over the internet.
Well, this scam has to do with solar and wind generated electricity, mm-hmm. and they're called solar credits. They're called credits. Mm-hmm. All right? I make a little bit of electricity, and I sell it to a company in Washington, D.C. They buy my solar credits. They bundle them and sell them to people like John Kerry and Al Gore. Mm. And John Kerry and Al Gore claim they are environmentally friendly users of energy, even though they use an unbelievable amount of energy because they buy my solar credits. Hmm. And this company pays me for my solar credits. And since I make a piddling amount of electricity, the overall scheme, I get something like $30 a quarter, like $10 a month. So if I had doubled that, I'd get $20 a month. Now, when I first put it in over 10 years ago, the solar credits were worth much more. Mm-hmm.
That's how things work.
Yeah, the more people that put it in, the less they're worth. Okay.
Yeah.
So let me explain this. Al Gore's Inconvenient Reality. Mm-hmm. Remember, he wrote his thing was Al Gore's Inconvenient Truth.
Right.
Well, this is Al Gore's Inconvenient Reality. The former vice president's home energy use surges up to now, folks. I hope you're sitting down. If you're looking at this on your car, you should pull over now. Okay. Al Gore's Inconvenient Reality. The former vice president's home energy use surges up to 34 times the national average, despite costly green renovations. And this is an article written by Drew Johnson, okay? In February 2007, the day after his panicky global warming film, An Inconvenient Truth, won an Academy Award for Best Documentary, a shocking report based on public records revealed that Al Gore's Nashville home consumed 20 times more electricity than the average American household.
20 times.
20 times than the average American household. Facing scrutiny for his extreme electricity consumption, the former vice president pledged to renovate his home to become greener and more energy efficient. The extensive and expensive overhaul of Gore's house includes installing solar panels and geothermal heating.
Oh, okay.
Okay. In order to determine the effectiveness of the environmentally friendly remodel and learn whether the self-appointed spokesman of the environmental movement has amended his energy-devouring ways, the National Center for Public Policy Research obtained Gore's electricity usage information through public records requests and conversations with the Nashville Electric Services. In powering his home, Gore still greatly outpaces most Americans in energy consumption. The followings were shocking. This is written by Drew Johnson, okay? You ready, folks? If you're riding in your car, pull over. This was written in 2007, I guess. The past year, Gore's home energy use averaged 19,241 kilowatt hours every month. compared to the U.S. household average of 901 kilowatt hours a month. 19,241 kilowatt hours compared to everybody else's 901. GORE guzzles more electricity in 1 year than the average American family uses in 21 years.
Wow.
In September of 2016, GORE's home consumed 30,993 kilowatt hours in just 1 month, as much energy as a typical American family burns in 34 months. During the last 12 months, GORE devoured 66,159 kilowatt hours of electricity just heating his pool. This is enough energy to power 6 average U.S. households for a year.
Wow. Must be a pretty big pool.
From August 2016 through July 2017, GORE spent almost $22,000 on electric bills. I tried to get off the grid. My bills are $300 a month. This guy spends $22,000 on electric bills, and he said he made his home energy efficient. GORE paid an estimated $60,000 to install 33 solar panels. These solar panels produce an average of 1,092 kilowatt hours per month, only 5.7% of GORE's typical monthly energy consumption.
Wow.
This many energy panels for me would be at least half, if not all, of my energy consumption, which would take me pretty much off the grid. And for GORE, it's only 5.7% of GORE's typical monthly energy consumption.
But it appears from the outside that he's green.
Well,
with
let's just say what it looks like is he's got energy efficient stuff that makes it look like he's trying to be green. Yeah. But it also indicates he's a hypocrite. Mm-hmm. No matter how the numbers are viewed, Al Gore uses...
Oh, boy. It's right there, Charlie. Somebody calling to complain?
My goodness.
Somebody calling to complain?
No. Folks, I have hearing aids. And my hearing aids are very, very modern. And my hearing aids are connected to my cell phone. Mm-hmm. So when my cell phone rings, I hear it in my hearing aids.
Oh, okay.
So talk about multitasking. I'm talking to you, and I've got something going off in my ears. Sometimes it's confusing for an old man like me. All right. So... all information included in this report was acquired through open records requests. The records supplied by the Nashville Energy provide through information about Gore's energy consumption. Al Gore resides. So let's take a look at how Al Gore is. Now keep this in mind. Al Gore's father was a Democratic machine politician in Tennessee. Mm-hmm. Al Gore was a machine politician, and he became vice president. After he was blown out of the water by Bush, he figured that this was the new best way to make money, to champion climate change. Actually, he didn't champion climate change, he championed global warming. But nobody believed global warming, and those words were fighting words for people that have any intelligence. Yeah. So they changed it to climate change because, of course, there is climate change. Every day there's climate change. Now, they intimate that climate change is global warming, but they don't talk about that now. Right. They talk about that the world's coming to an end. The climate's changing, and if we don't do something in 12 years, we're going to be underwater. President Reagan was told that by some Democratic ecologist 40 years ago, that if we don't do something in 12 years, New York City, Manhattan, New Jersey, they're all going to be underwater. Well, that was 40 years ago. Not a thing has changed, period. Oh, the polar bears are floating around on ice floes because the North Pole and the South Pole are melting. No, folks, the polar bears have floated around on ice floes ever since there were polar bears, because that's how they catch seals. They lay on an ice floe, they blend in with the white ice, a seal pops his head up, and oop, it's lunch. So,
Yeah, that's true.
you know, what the polar bear doing is floating out there in the water waiting for lunch to arrive. It's takeout service, delivery service.
And I guess it was in the news. Was it this past few days or last week? Biden told the military, or the military told Biden, that climate change was the #1 threat to the world.
Well, yeah, that's today. Climate change, yeah. I thought domestic terrorism was the #1
Well,
threat.
I would think so too.
Well, I mean, the domestic terror was, or I would have thought Al Qaeda or Iran
Yeah.
or Russia or China could be considered #1 threats, but it's climate change. Yeah, it's climate change.
Still.
So, and by the way, you know, this Paris Peace Accord and the climate accord in Paris and everything, the problem is nobody explains it to you, ladies and gentlemen. If they explained it to you, you would realize that it's the United States that is supposed to do everything when it comes to this agreement, and the other countries have signed it and have said categorically they're not going to do anything. I mean, you have to look at the pragmatic result.
So who's the smart one?
Who's the dumb one is the question. They're all using us, and they're all using.
Well, they're smart. They're not going to do it. But the United States.
That's why Trump got out of it, because he refused to be used.
Yeah.
All right. India, and you can't blame a country like India. India was a third world country, and they're pulling themselves out of being a third world country. India is getting to the point where they can actually feed their population 2 meals a day.
Yeah.
2 meals a day. India is getting to the point where their population doesn't have to eat dirt. You hear that, folks? Sometimes people are so hungry, there's not going to be any food on the table because they don't even have a table, and they eat dirt so that it calms the hunger pains in their stomach. Well, India is now producing enough energy, and it's not the cleanest energy in the world, and India is a polluter, but India is pulling themselves by their bootstraps up out of being a third world country, being able to sustain their population. India, you have to stop doing that. You think India is going to do that? No. China is one of the major polluters in the world.
Sure, yeah.
They're producing all of these products. They don't care. One of the reasons China can produce and supply products so cheaply is because they're not hamstrung by all of the environmental rules that our businesses and manufacturing plants are in this country. And if China were to abide by the Paris Accords, all of the values, the price of all of the products they produce in an ecologically unfriendly way would be more expensive, because they would then be produced in an ecologically friendly way. Capiche?
Capiche.
Ah.
Well, I think this brings us to the end of...
Okay, we didn't even get a chance to talk about John Kerry. So at some point, now we were moving on. At some point in time, we're going to get back to this subject and do another climate change lie, and we're going to talk about John Kerry and Al Gore and how much they, what liars they are. And it's been a pleasure talking to you, Gary. You folks, if you'd like to donate, go on the internet to WHRFM.com. To the donate button, you'll be donating to Dare to Be Different Food Pantry, and Pastor Gary runs Dare to Be Different Food Pantry, and we can take any donation. We'd be happy to have it. If you have any calls and complaints, give us a call at 848-480-6371. And again, this is Point Counterpoint with Hype with Charlie and Pastor Gary. Folks, have a pleasant day. Thank you for watching the